Hi folks, I'm Ethan with Two Guys in a Ride, and welcome to our how-to video on the 2020 Toyota Tundra, and this is the TRD Pro. Today I'll be covering the driver's information and infotainment screens. I'll do a general overview, show you how to access information, and do a deep dive. Let's get started. Today we're working with our friends at Toyota of Mankato in Mankato, Minnesota. All right, let's start with the driver's information screen. So mostly analog. You have got an analog tach on the left, and then you've got, of course, your oil temperature on the upper left and your engine temp on the lower left, and then across from on the other side of the digital gauge you have your voltmeter for your battery and then your fuel gauge. And then on the very far right, of course, you have your speedometer, which has miles per hour on the outside and then kilometers per hour on the inside. Now there are two buttons on the dashboard, and one of them is right here. Now this one here is going to flip between your trip A and your trip B and your total odometer, and then if you are on any one of those and you click and hold, it'll reset that particular trip. Over here you've got your dashboard brightness and dimness, so each little push will dim your dashboard down and then brighten it back up again. If you just push and hold, it should just go down incrementally. Yep. So we're going to go down again here, get that set to its brightest. So that's the dashboard. In the middle you have about a 4.3-inch rectangular screen with all of the information that you can change. So before we do that, we're going to come back and take a look at the steering wheel a minute. On the left-hand side, this is your favorites, switching between in your media, and again that'll be AM, FM, or Sirius XM. You've got your volume, you've got your voice command. Now if you push and hold, it'll pass through to Siri or Google Assistant as well. This will change your modes, so you can go between AM, FM, and Sirius XM right here. If you push and hold, it'll mute or pause. And then you have your phone on and phone hang up right here. And then over on the far right side of the steering wheel, these four arrows plus the center button and the back button will, and then this one will control your driver's information screen, the digital part. This is your gap setting for your dynamic cruise control, and then this is your lane keeping assist. So for our purposes, we are going to use these four arrows and this dot and this back button and this button. So to start with, at the top of the screen, you're going to notice a few menus lighting up in blue as I go by. These are the main menus. Anytime you're in a menu, if the option exists, you can use the up and down arrows to select other items. Now, there is not anything else in this particular menu. This is the navigation screen. If a course is plotted, you'll get your turn-by-turn here. Otherwise, you get this nice compass with the Toyota Tundra in the middle of it, which I like. I'm going to go backwards one here just to information, and you'll see that little blue line on the dashboard. Now you can use these up and down arrows. So you get your tank average, and that's since your last fill for miles per gallon. You get your trip average, you get your trip distance and trip time. You get your digital speed and then your range. Good thing we're not moving anywhere. This is like a driver assistant. If it senses you're weaving in and out of the lines, need a little rest, it'll pop up with a coffee mug and tell you that you need to pull over and take a little rest. And then down here you've got a blank screen or a calm screen in case you don't want anything else showing. Okay, one more click even on the down arrow brings you right back to the top of that screen. I'm going to go over to the right. We've already seen navigation, so I'm going to go one more over to media. Okay, now if I use the up or down arrows here, it's switching between your favorites. Now, if I want to switch sources myself, I can push this button right here, and now I can just physically select, okay, I want Sirius XM, for instance. Push there, and I get Sirius XM, and then my favorites are all listed right here. Okay, so if I go back to this for a minute, you notice that USB and Bluetooth are not highlighted. That's because my phone is not connected and I don't have a USB plugged in. But if I did, those sources would show up there as well. Okay, I am going to hit my back button. And I'm going to go one more to the right. So here it shows your cruise control is off and your lane keeping assist is off. So the cruise control is actually on a stalk behind the steering wheel. So if I were to turn that on, now it'll say it's ready. And it's just a push button there. Okay. If I use my gap setting button right now, you can see that on the screen. Okay. And so I'm going to go down one. I get tire pressure. I'm going to hit the back button just to get rid of that. And then I've got one more screen here, and that's trailer brake adjustment. That controls down below the start button. Okay, but it's nice to give you a digital readout right on your screen. Okay, so that's it for that particular screen. I'm going to go over one more to the right. If you have any messages from the vehicle, like need an oil change, windshield wiper fluid low, those messages will all appear on this particular tab. And I'm going to go one more, and of course this is settings. So I'm going to go up here to the very top, and lane departure assist, if I click that, I can adjust the sensitivity by clicking on the center button here. And I can go down to the driver's warning. If it thinks that you're not paying enough attention to the road, you can turn that off. And you can also adjust the sensitivity level the same way. All right, I'm going to hit the back button right here. Right here, you have your pre-collision system. You'll want to leave that on. Okay, so we'll just click that again. Oops, I think I need to go back and click it. There we go. And then down here, you can change that sensitivity level again by clicking this button. And as far as how sensitive to set it, that's going to have to be a personal thing for every driver to set where they're most comfortable. If I go down one more, I get vehicle settings. I can set the trailer type, and I can do a maintenance reset. Okay, I'm going to go back. And then under meter settings, if I click, I got a couple things. You can change the language, you can change the units. I'm going to get back to switch settings, but Drive Info 1, if you remembered when we first started, the second screen I went to after navigation was the eye, and it had a bunch of pages. This is where you can change that. So not only do I have Drive Info 1, but I have Drive Info 2. So under switch settings, the easiest way I found to do this is actually just to use this button. So you can program this button to be one of many different types of information. So let me just, I'm going to push it. And right now, anytime I push that button, that's the screen I get. Okay. But let's say that I want it on this screen. If I push and hold, then I can make it that one. So I go up and I say yes. And now, if I'm somewhere else, even if I'm in a different menu, if I press this button, it brings me right back to that particular screen. Okay, let's go back here to meter settings, and we had a couple more things under here. Pop-up display. Okay, so intersection guidance, so your turn by turn, incoming calls, and adjust brightness. Now, if you want those things to display on your screen when they happen, you need to leave them on. But if for some reason you don't want that on, just click it and it turns it off. Okay, hit the back button here, and then of course you have a default setting. If you completely mess up, you can click on that. All right. And then we hit the back button, and if I go one more to the right, I'm just back to that driver's information screen right here. So on the top, of course, you got your cruise control indicator, you got your outside temp. It tells you that it's cold enough, or it's getting pretty cold out, so be careful on icy roads. And then down below, you got your gear selector indicators and trip A, and then your current odometer. All right, that is it for the driver's information screen. Next, we're going to move over to the infotainment screen. All right, so the infotainment screen is an 8-inch screen. It's Entune 3.0, and it has a JBL premium audio system with dynamic navigation and 12 speakers, including a subwoofer. Now, it does have AM and FM and Bluetooth. It has Sirius XM and HD, and it also has navigation. And then, of course, if you push the voice command button and hold it, and your phone's connected, it will. You can use Siri or Google Assistant as well. Okay, So you've got a physical power button up here to push. You've got a rotary for volume. You've got tune and scroll right here. And then you have home, menu, audio, map, seek forward, seek backwards, phone, and apps right there. So right now we're on the home screen. And you've got media, phone, and then navigation. And then right here, you've got some controls that you can slightly increase or decrease the navigation map. You can actually see it running in the background, which is kind of interesting. So it's not really like a split screen. The navigation is actually full screen, and this is just overlaid. Okay, if I click up there, I can change the setting on the map as to how it looks, which is nice. A lot of little shortcuts right on the screen. All right, so if I tap on any one of these, it's going to bring me to a full screen. Okay. All right, let's go to the menu button. So in menu, you've got several things. You can set a destination, audio, phone, apps, projection, info, and setup. So I will come back to those in a minute. Let's go down to audio. All right, audio here, of course, brings you to all your audio sources. If you want to change the source, you can go up here and click on source and then change. Okay. You can also reorder them. So if you say, well, for instance, I want maybe Bluetooth to be first, just click and drag it. I want Sirius XM to be second, and I want FM to be third. I don't care about the rest of them, so I'm just going to leave them that way, and there I go. So now my most commonly used sources are a little easier to find. All right, so that's how you get to sources. So I'm going to go back, though, to Sirius XM for a minute. And let's talk about some of the most commonly asked questions, and one of them is, how do I change channels? Okay, so first of all, right here, you can go to a station list. Okay, for Sirius XM, let's see. We're going to look at all stations. And this system isn't set up, but typically you'd have all those set up right in there. That's where they would show up. If you use these seek buttons, one says seek, one says track, but if I hit seek, it's going to go, well, let's use FM because Sirius XM is not activated. So if I go here and I hit seek, okay, it's going to go there for a while, and then it should, with another press, go to the next station. There we go. So I have found that if you push the buttons too quickly in succession, they don't work. Okay, but give them just like a second between pushes and they work great. So you've got that, and then you've got this, kind of redundant, but this does the seek, and this one will go incrementally. Okay, you can also, later when you've done some presets, you can take a look at different presets. Okay, all right, let's see. Let's go back. I want this view here. Okay, so to set a channel, that's the second question. How do I set a preset? So you just find any sort of channel here and just click and hold, and it sets it. You want a blank channel? Well, just click to the right and you'll get one. And there you go. It's as simple as that. So it's the same for FM. Works the same way. You got your station list here, and then you can click to hold to set a preset. And then if I go to AM, it's going to look pretty much the same. So that's how you make presets. That's how you find a channel. If you want to actually just tune, that's what this button's for. So it'll work in AM, FM, or Sirius XM. Okay. The other thing that you have down here is sound. So if you want to adjust your sound, here's where your equalizer is. And this is going to be just a click the arrow button. It's not a click drag for the dot. And you have treble, mid, bass. You can go down here to fader and balance. And again, it's not a click drag, but you can adjust it manually. And then you can bring it to the front or the rear. Okay. And then automatic sound levelizer. If I turn that on, the faster the car goes, technically the louder it gets inside. So the volume goes up a little bit. And then if you go slower and you're in traffic and you're going slow, then the sound goes down. It tries to balance out the sound for you, so it always sounds the same. So those are the basics on the media, how to make a preset, how to find a channel, and then finally how to adjust sound. All right, so let's go down to map. So here's the navigation map, and if I wanted to find someplace to go, I could click on the magnifying glass, and I could search. Okay, I could look at favorites, recents. I could look at emergency. These are different categories: address, point of interest, contacts, and you could set a home destination as well. Honestly, the easiest way is using voice command. So on the steering wheel, on the left-hand side, I have a voice command button. So I'm just going to push it once and then try to program an address. Here we go. Get directions to McDonald's.
Searching. Showing results for McDonald's. Select the one you want. Say next page for more items.
1.
To navigate to this point of interest, say go there.
Go there.
Starting guidance for a new route.
Okay, so not the fastest system, but you can do everything just through voice command. Wait for the little prompts to tell you what to do next, and you can set any destination that way. Now, the second question people always ask is, how do you turn, or how do you exit? How do you stop on navigation? So right now it's going, so if I'm gonna click OK here.
Please proceed to the highlighted route, then the route guidance will start.
Okay, they have a nice little exit they put in there. So if I just click the X, you want sure? Yes. And there we go. Now, if you want to find out more about the details of the navigation and all the little settings you can make, we've got another video that addresses that, so click the link above. All right, so going over here, we've got phone. I don't have a phone connected, and I'm going to do that right now. Would I like to connect one? Yes. And I'm going to go into my settings on my phone, and I am going to go to Bluetooth and scroll to the bottom of my Bluetooth list, and it found me, so that's good. And it came on my phone, says Toyota Tundra. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to hit pair, and it asked me if I want to allow my contacts to sync. Well, I don't, because it's not my car. If this was your car, you'd want to do that. All right, so now it's gone. I'll give it a few more seconds, and it should be set up. Okay, skip. Okay, looks like it's done. Okay, so now this was under phone, so I can look at history, favorites, contacts, keypad, and then messages, and I can select a device if I have more than one device in here. And I can also add a device from that page. Okay, so that's running through Bluetooth, meaning if I go back to my audio sources right now, and I go to source, and I go to Bluetooth, now my phone stuff shows up, and I can control it right from the screen. Okay? And I get the same basic things right here on the left that I had with SXM, AM, and FM. All right, so I'm going to go back here, and then we're going to go to apps. So these are Entune apps, and that's where they're located. You want to set up your Wi-Fi, that kind of stuff, remote connect. You want to set that up. That's all right in that screen. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to menu now. Okay, now, under menu, you've got a lot of things that we've already done. Okay, we've already looked at destination. Okay, we have already looked at audio. You recognize all these, they look the same. Phone, apps. The couple things we haven't done projection, info, or setup. So, under projection, this is for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. If I take my USB cable and I plug it in, I can connect now to Apple CarPlay. To hook into Apple CarPlay and get that to change to Apple CarPlay, I am just going to plug my phone right in. Gonna wait a second here. And it says, would I like to allow the car to play it while the phone is locked? I'm gonna click allow. And you see it switches right to Apple CarPlay. All right, and it would switch to Android Auto if you had Android Auto plugged in. All right, so let's just go here to Apple CarPlay. So real quickly, the way this works is these are your most recently used apps on the left. This switches between sort of a split screen view and then an app view. And you've got a couple pages of apps here you can look at. The nice thing is this vehicle does have built-in navigation, but you can also use Apple Maps. You could use Google Maps. I've got Waze on there, just about anything. I can also have my music, like Pandora. All that plays through the system. Now, the one thing about Apple CarPlay, using that versus Bluetooth, is if I go to audio for a minute and I go to source, Bluetooth is now grayed out, because my music is coming through Apple CarPlay. So I need to go to Apple CarPlay to do that. All right, so that's just one of the differences. But it's so much better than just regular Bluetooth. Right, so you got your keypad, your voicemail, contacts, recents, favorites, that's all there. Okay? But it's very, very nice system, and again, very easy to use, just like your phone is. Okay? Now, you can have Sirius XM playing or AM or FM while you're using a navigation app, for instance. You couldn't use Sirius XM, AM, or FM if you're using another audio source from here. But as long as you're not using an audio source, the two will work at the same time. All you do is go back and you go to audio and you say, okay, I want source, Sirius XM. Okay, that's playing, great. I'm gonna go back to menu, go back to Apple CarPlay, and now my navigation is playing, but behind this, the Sirius XM is playing. Okay, now I'm gonna go back to menu for a minute, and if I go down to info, here you can get 4 different things. So you can look at eco information right here. You can clear it, you can look at history, and then you can go back. All right. Press the menu button again. Under setup, you have a few things. So, for instance, you can adjust the clock. However, if I click on the actual clock, it gets me the same thing. It's just easier to do. Okay, we'll go back to setup here. So, but you can get clock there. You can change the language here. We'll get back to customize home screen in a minute. Projection settings, that's for Apple CarPlay. For instance, Android Auto shut off. Now I can turn Android Auto on, but I don't have anything to plug in. So basically that's there so that if your whole family has Apple CarPlay, well, there's no point in having that on. You can just turn that off. Okay, you hear the screen beeping when I touch it. That's where you turn that off. You can change the theme right here, the basic colors. Let's see if I go to red, or this background, or this background. We'll just leave it here, but that's where you change that. Okay, and you see this little up arrow. If I click on it, it's going to collapse the window and bring back everything else. So change units of temperature, units of measurement, keyboard layout, memorize keyboard history, animation. That's for when you start the vehicle, the gauges moving, that kind of stuff. Now, driver setting. This is going to allow you to link some of your stuff right to your phone, right? I'm not going to enable that, but if I did, I could see all the colors I set, that kind of stuff, the audio presets, the language, all that stuff. As soon as it recognized my phone, it would reset all that for me. Okay? You can delete personal data there, and then of course you can do a software update, and then you can change the sensitivity level of the auto volume control. So that's when you go faster, it gets louder. When you go slower, it gets softer. You can adjust that right there. That would make it more sensitive. That would make it the least sensitive. That's kind of in the middle. Okay, that's under general. If I go, Bluetooth is grayed out because I'm using Apple CarPlay. If I just go to audio, I can look at some things in radios. I can manage my smart favorites. I can change the number of radio presets. All right, under voice, phone again is grayed out because I'm using Apple CarPlay. Automatic navigation guidance can be on or off. Voice guidance in all modes. So whether it's Sirius XM's playing or AM, FM, or your Bluetooth, whatever, if that's off, then it won't give you voice guidance prompts unless you're in navigation. So I'd recommend turning that one and leaving that one on. And you can set the volume. high-low, or off. You can do the voice recognition tutorial. You can have a guidance type of tone. Doesn't play it for you, so I don't know what they are, but that's that little prompt when you have a guidance instruction, like for navigation. Voice prompt interrupt, okay? If that's on, you should be able to, once you get used to the system, you should be able to interrupt the voice command in mid-sentence and just give the answer it's looking for, rather than having to wait for it to finish its whole conversation. Then the system works a little quicker. Okay, and then you have your default settings. Now down here, I can go down to vehicle, maintenance. All right, Toyota does a great job of this, but you have all of these things that you can set reminders for changing. So let's just look at engine oil. You can go in here and you can say, well, I can set a date and a distance, okay? And then hit that. And then it will remind you when it gets to that point, so you can change the engine oil or whatever reminder you want. But I mean, that's just really cool. You can set all these things and turn the reminding feature off, but I don't know why you'd want to do that. And then you can also set a dealer. All right? Vehicle customization, door lock settings, climate settings, and light settings. So let's just look at climate settings for a minute. You can have the AC be in auto mode or not. All right, I'm going to go back again. You have valet mode if you want. And then under navigation, you've got some detailed settings, but I will cover those in the separate video that I mentioned earlier. And then you've got Wi-Fi settings right here. If I go down again, you've got traffic. And then you can use that, set things like show free-flowing traffic on or off. Just some basic settings that you can make here about traffic. And then you can look at your data services, okay? So I'm going to go back a minute because I want to go back to customize home screen. So if I look at this, okay, right now it's set up so navigation is on the right, audio and phone are up here. But I can change that. So if I hit change layout, I get these 4 options. Now they're preset, but let's just say I want to flip-flop this. Okay, I'm going to turn that out. Now navigation is there and phone's there. So let's just make a few changes. For instance, I want phone, let's see. I want phone to be up there. Okay, and then it automatically put audio down there. Okay, so now if I go back to home, now my navigation is on this side. Media's up here, and my phone's up there, sorry, and then media's down here. So I mean, that's just really cool that you can customize that. And so again, that was under setup, and then customize home screen. Okay, now if you want a little more detail on the navigation system, we have a whole separate video that covers that. All right. Otherwise, that's it for the infotainment system and the driver's information screen on the 2020 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. Hope it's been helpful. Thanks for watching.